All right, it's time for the news update now. Sorry, the paper review now, and let's get on with it. We have joining us, as usual, the CEO of CKN News, Chris Kehinde-Nwandu. Chris, good morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. And the Friday is special because we're going to, Super Eagles are there. You know, the match, the all match we're waiting for right now, all the hope is on Super Eagles today.
Yes,
Nigerians.
If Croatia could defeat Argentina,
then anything can happen.
We shouldn't be complaining. So today is our day.
Okay.
Give us today.
All right. Yeah, Ngozi will be back to join us shortly. She had to just excuse herself briefly. All right, now let's start with the Punch newspaper. Southeast senators, IYC, cackle, reject budget cuts. How federal government will raise 9 trillion naira to fund 2018 budget. Udoma is revealing that. Now, this is a fallout of the budget that was signed by the president. He came up with, well, he did a wonderful job of letting everyone know, well, I am signing this, but this is not what I really want to sign.
Yes, it's to be expected. Every time we have a budget, is either it's being padded or other sorts of controversies arises. Most of my own worry, I'm just worried that every time, I don't know why we have to go through the 6 months into the half year before we start signing projects. In those days when we were growing up, every December period, January, you just see that the budget is running. I don't know what's happening
1st of January to 31st December.
That's how it used to be, and that was it. But now, then coming back to the allegations, yes, there are bound to be allegations, but we shouldn't forget the fact that irrespective of whatever the presidency presents to the National Assembly is an estimated budget, and it's the function of the National Assembly to be able to make sure that they be able to look at the total budget.
Yeah, but there's also the question of whether the National Assembly has the right to inject figures into it or reduce, as the case may be. Yeah. You know, that is left for the courts to decide.
That's where I was heading to. Okay. If they don't have the right to do that, then it's for the court. The president should just take this to the court once and for all. And but even at that, if you look at some senators are saying from the Southeast are already complaining, and I'll just ask myself, we are not part of the budget. They were there. So what happened? Why were they not part of it? Because definitely whatever must have been signed by the president was agreed within the National Assembly. So I'm just saying, were they not part of the budget making and rest of them?
Maybe they were part of the nays, you know.
So it is, but the most important thing that the budget has, but the most important thing for me is not even signing the budget. How well does this budget run? Okay, most often you will just see that it's just signed on paper. Implementation has always been a problem.
The issue of releasing monies for some of the projects.
Always a
problem.
Right,
let's run on. We're in support of restructuring, says Oshibaju. Well, we heard that before. The concept, we are in support of it. It is one thing to be in support. By saying we're in support is another thing to really, you know, walk the steps of restructuring.
Yes, they should walk the talk, and we've been hearing of this even before during the campaigns. That was one of the cardinal campaign points of the APC government. Yeah. And when the APC government came in, they reneged, and some people said, no, we didn't, and this and this. Yes. Then after they raised up a committee to look into it, that committee submitted its report. Today, we don't know what is becoming of that.
Is that right? The DSS arrests ISIS commanders in FCT, detains ex-governor Suswam of Benue State, PDP case. Well, we heard a few days ago that ISIS was recruiting people for, you know, in Nigeria, and this might be a good news. Yeah, that some of them have been
I don't know. You know, we've always talked about these discrepancies between our security agencies and the way they talk. Yeah, and if information came in during the week that there are some pockets of ISIS, militants or wherever, infiltrating the country, coming in and the rest of them. And one of the security said, oh, no, there's nothing like that. If you remember, they said, no, that is just a lie. That was a press release to that effect. Then 2 days after, then we heard that some people have been arrested. That to me is but it's good because As it is now, we don't even know what is happening because with all sorts of manners of things happening,
information, counter-information,
it becomes very counterproductive.
Okay, let's move to the Nation newspaper now. Lawmakers under attack for budget 2018 alterations. NLC, MAN, IYC, Southeast senators are angry over this. We've talked about this. And then IS suspects held in Abuja and Bauchi. Well, we just talked about it. Oshomole is set for coronation as Ebri quits.
I like the word coronation. I like the way the nation...
It seems like it's going to be a walk in the park after all.
Yes, I like the way the nation coined that line. Yes, coronation because it's given that ex-governor Adams Oshomole is the next national chairman of APC. And
he's unopposed now.
He's unopposed now. And I think that is good news for APC. Sincerely, that's good news.
Is it good news for APC?
Yes, it is because the initial problem would have been if there's a kind of division on who becomes the chairman. But I don't know how that would trigger. I don't know how it triggered down.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be? When people come to show interest, I want to contest. Is that not why the convention is even held in the first place?
Yes,
so that election can be conducted and then whoever wins the chairmanship emerges.
Yes, politics is about give and take. And politicians know how to do their things. And the rest of them, and concession is part of politicking as well. So it is in their own interest that, because already they have a lot of problem coming from the world congresses to the local government to the state congresses, which has not been resolved. If you now add the national conventions, that'll be a problem. So I think they're just trying to resolve the issue, and I hope that some already kicking that. Once this Congress is over, then we're going to decide our fate, whether to continue with the party or not. But with the chairmanship, I think the Adams of Shemele has what it takes to be able to bring everybody together.
That's all right. We have Buhari to inaugurate Africa's first rice seedling factory in Calabar. All right, that should be good news. Yeah. Fire shall be caged on election day, says Fayemi. Okay.
I wonder how he's going to do that.
Elections are here, so we're going to hear all sorts of things.
All sorts of things.
All right. NLC gives candidates ultimatum on salaries. That's Ekiti 2018. Governor alleges withholding of Paris Club refund. Okay. Banks lose 12 billion naira to fraud in 4 years.
That's a huge one.
Fraud within the banking system is still part of the challenges in there.
It is a challenge to them.
All right, let's move to the Daily Sun. Abuja comes alive with APC convention. Governors clear coast for Shomole. Adopt consensus as Ebri withdraws. The ways have been cleared.
Yes, Ebri is the only other man standing and has been making a whole lot of
He came up with a press statement saying, for the sake of the party
I'm done.
All right. Federal government defense policy on cattle ranches, it's not new, says Interior Minister. Actually, it is not new. That is the truth.
Yes.
But the dimension things we're taking in the recent years about ranching is what Nigerians feel uncomfortable with.
Exactly. Ranching is not something new. It has been there as far back as the 50s and 60s. That is why we have routes, there are designated routes where cattle and the rest of them have been passing over the years. But the only problem here is that what's the government's business in doing that? That's what everybody's kicking about. Okay, the government it's a private business. Okay, it's a private business just like every other form of agriculture or except you are not going to say that those that are also into poultry, those that are into piggery and all the rest of them should also
fishery.
Be fishery and the rest of them. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say?
On the papers yesterday, the southern and middle belt leaders were saying that don't use government funds to set up ranches and all of that. Yes. Okay, we have El Zakzaki, police inspector killed as Shiites protest in Kaduna.
That was a very troublesome.
Very troublesome.
You need to see
the dimensions that this is going. You saw the police officer lying in his own pool of blood.
It was a gory picture. It was a gory video. And what I also learned was that some of the guys, disguised as normal, normally when they go on their protest and the rest of them, they have a way of dressing. But this time around, they disguise themselves and just like other citizen and just pounce on the police and the rest of them. I think this, my personal opinion, yes, in as much as the acts and the killing and rest of them, and he was arrested. It was done in Kaduna. I wouldn't know whether Kaduna would have been the best place to try the Shiite leader for obvious reasons, for security reasons for me anyway. And I would have thought that it should have been somewhere else, maybe probably Abuja and rest of them. Okay, where the security could be managed and rest of them. But from what I learned, the trial has to take place within the jurisdiction where the crime was committed, and I think that it's just a signal. And he was not there yesterday because the judge was involved in an accident.
Exactly, I wasn't present in court.
Yes, he wasn't present in court. So.
Well, but I think on the whole, the government has to do something about this so it doesn't escalate beyond. It's all right. IPI Congress, Buhari highlights gains of good journalism. The International Press Institute is holding their international convention in Abuja, which is a good one.
It's a good one.
Now, military offers 5 million naira reward on Boko Haram sites. Okay. I wonder why you're laughing on this one.
Mike,
it's a very serious issue. Is it coming a little too late?
That's just what, to me, it's just coming too late. I don't know. Maybe somebody will take the bait.
But what if it's still effective?
Well, I hope it is, and I hope it will be. I think we will start going beyond that. What we need now is we've gone beyond that. Okay, we need effective and proactive security arrangements across board, not just. It used to be in the Northeast, but it's across board now. North Central,
the challenges
becoming just
right.
heavy for our security agencies.
It's okay.
To handle.
Let's move on now. We have moving to the New Telegraph. Oshomole National Convention. Oshomole is APC chair. In fact, as far as this paper is concerned, the declared
is the winner.
Ex-governors bow out of race for former Labour leader. Appeal court clears Amechi's faction to attend convention, and FCT deploys 900 personnel, 100 vehicles for special traffic management. I know from today until tomorrow, Abuja is going to be, on the lockdown.
From today to even Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. When they're leaving, it's true. All right. 2018 budget, federal government to borrow 1 trillion naira to fund deficit. Udoma, no provision for security votes for presidency. Okay.
Now, we have to borrow to
fund the budget.
I don't know.
It's a deficit. We've been running a deficit budget for
how many years now?
Quite a long time.
And we continue borrowing to service this. I think there's a problem. We have some fundamental problem, and we should be addressed immediately. And we shouldn't be doing that. I don't see us making any progress if we continue borrowing to service our budget. It's not ideal. It's not done in other climes. You know, we should be growing our economy to have surpluses. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We should be having surpluses and borrowing. Then another dimension to it is that when we also look at all the so-called funds that were recovered, people have been asking questions.
Where are they? What
are they being used for?
How much
have we
What projects would they be
Every day we
invested
say billions of dollars, billion of this, and we still it's a problem.
All right. Now there is this very interesting, somehow interesting because of the development. The picture on the front page of the New Telegraph shows a school, primary school, Holy Arosa Primary School in Benin City, in Edo State. Yeah. A video went viral on how dilapidated the school was, and then students were just on one side with the roofs off, the rain was falling, and after that, we heard the governor decided to close down all of such kind of primary schools in the state.
Yes, it's a very, very sorry state. And I remember that Adams Oshomole, when he was the governor of...
He built some mega schools
and the rest of them.
But certainly, it's obvious he didn't touch all of them.
But funny enough, It's not just in Edo State. I am an ambassador of Action Aids Nigeria. And about a month ago, as part of my functions, I visited Bauchi State.
Okay.
Mike, you need to see the state of certain schools that we visited. I couldn't be. Some of them were in the state of collapse. You know,
in fact, we've seen pictures and videos of some students learning under the trees.
I'm telling you, there was a particular school we visited where Action Aid is building schools. You have the primary 1 and primary 2 in the same classroom. And I was asking, I said, how would they
learn?
This one is
in some cases, some of the will face this way.
That is what I'm saying.
And then the others will face the other way.
Let me even tell you the funniest part of it. At a point, they will ask one of the classes the students to just sleep.
Wow.
Compulsorily. Oh yeah, everybody lie down, sleep, so that they can teach other. It's a big problem.
Sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. Okay, let's move to our final paper now. Vanguard newspaper. APC chairmanship, Oshomole unopposed as governor's head for consensus. As last challenger, Clement Ebiri, stepped down. A no boycotting convention, NPDP ignore them. Senator Adamu saying that here's Buhari for refusing to meet with group. Okay, back and forth and back and forth. All right, we won't be distracted. NDDC is saying that the federal government to finance 1 trillion naira deficit through borrowing. Enugu government sets up judicial panel of inquiry on monarch's death. Okay, and DSS arrests 3 ISIS fighters in Abuja and Bauchi. On the Zakzaki's trial, policeman killed as Shiites protest in Kaduna. We have June 12 awards. It's by Rwane, the forgotten hero. All right, that was certainly there were lots of names that came up. People were expecting. Since you're going to do this, do it across the board.
I agree with them, but it will be very, very difficult.
Yeah, of course. A lot of people were involved.
A lot of people were involved
in the June 12.
Yes, June 12. I personally, I was expecting that they should have given one of us an award too. When I say one of us, a journalist, I'm talking of journalists.
Oh, okay.
You know, there are some guys that lost their lives directly or indirectly over the June 12 crisis. Some were killed by certain elements and the rest of them. So, but what the most important is that the President Muhammad Buhari has done the right thing by recognizing June 12 and also the winner of the election. That is key to me.
It's a good step in the right direction for that, at least from the reaction from Nigerians.
It is.
Finally now, crisis brews in National Assembly over sharing of 578 billion naira padded budget projects. The word padded.
You know,
it's there again.
Now the budgets have been signed, then the next one is infighting within the
how the projects remember the president said the problem there is some of these projects have not been conceptualized, they've not been costed. So how do you allocate monies to these things?
Yes, you know, the problem I have with this so-called constituency projects and the like is that the Perry and the these instances of the members of the National Assembly, either the state or national level. But the problem is that who identifies these projects? Yes, they say that these are the projects we want. But you look at it that some of them are even so selfish in their interest that they try even within their own their constituencies.
One would even ask, what's the difference between this and constituency projects?
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
So this one looks like it's an interference of the legislature or legislative arm of government in the executive.
Yes, you remember there was a time that even the leadership of the National Assembly, especially that of the House of Representatives, some legislators were complaining about how the Speaker of the House cornered so much fund for his own constituencies at the detriment of others.
Exactly.
So it's a problem.
All right, we have to leave you here now. Chris Kehinde-Nwandu, CEO CKN News. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.